Hi, folks. Chapter 6, Part 4. Now we're taking a look at illegal gratuities, economic extortion, and conflicts of interest. So, illegal gratuities, essentially, it's like bribery. The only difference is right here. Change this to this guy. Okay, so it's after the decision is made. Okay, so it's like a reward. So if you make the right decision, you get something, like a late bribery. Now, economic distortion, employee demands a payment to be made from a vendor to make a decision in their favor. Notice I say it's common in bank loans. In other words, you want to get this loan, this is what you need to do. I'm sure it happens all the time. Conflicts of interest, I think everybody knows what those are, but here they're talking about them in particular ways: purchasing schemes and sales schemes. There's a lot of different conflicts of interest, but notice undisclosed economic or personal interest. But notice they mentioned that it adversely affects the company. Typically, conflicts of interest don't always adversely affect; they're believed to adversely affect. So there's a little bit of difference. Sometimes, like you might not be allowed to work a part-time job where you work. They might say you can't have a part-time job. They feel like that potentially that could hurt your work at your full-time job. Okay, so it doesn't necessarily. In this case, they're saying it absolutely does, but it's not an absolute thing. Okay. So with purchasing, basically it's bid rigging on behalf of somebody, okay? And then they also have something turnaround sales. This one, notice here, employee purchases an asset, then resells it to the employer. Now that's a pretty good trick. I guess it would depend upon what it is. It would have to be a particular asset that they normally couldn't get. So it wouldn't be typically like supplies. It would be something that there was limited supply of. Okay. And there you go. There's a little bit more of an explanation of turnaround sales. I have not actually seen that one per se, but I could see it happening if it was land. Let's say for argument's sake, you worked for, I don't know, a commercial real estate company, and you knew they were looking at a certain parcel, and you knew they wanted it badly, and then you managed to go around, buy it, and then turn around and sell it to them at a profit. That would be the turnaround sale. A little bit more about sales schemes. So underbillings, selling goods or service below market value. Okay. Again, because you're trying to do them a favor. And then writing off sales, writing off accounts owed by employee businesses. Okay. So here, obviously they wouldn't know they were employee-owned businesses, but trying to get them to write off any accounts receivable there. Some other conflicts of interest, business diversions. I've seen this one a lot. Siphon employees' clients from their own business. By the way, I could tell you when it comes time, like doing work on somebody's house, I've actually had people tell me, this is the price for a new air conditioner, but if you want, let me know. I can come and do it on the weekend, and I could do it for you for $4,000, just not through the company. I've seen it plenty of times. Okay, and again, you're stealing from your own employer. Okay, so the one who's busy paying you, you're taking from them. Okay. Resource diversions. This is using funds or some sort of equipment, items for their own business. I've seen that many times. I've seen government workers use like the road crew equipment, not the road crew equipment, but the equipment they're using to mow lawns and stuff by the highway. I've seen that stuff being abused by by the people that were in charge, doing side work with that equipment. Okay, how do you prevent this stuff? Okay, here they're mentioning specifically address them, make sure that people know. Communications, anonymous reporting, run comparisons between vendor and employee addresses. This is again to make sure who's getting paid, right? Make sure that a vendor is not also an employee. Now here, the next thing they have all these different big data and data analytic techniques. And by the way, we're doing some of that with IDEA. Now obviously we're just scratching the surface, but you can go ahead and read through these, but the bottom line here is, and there's like a few pages of this, You read through these and you could probably, this would be if you were doing your very first investigation and most of these things that you're reading here, these would be a good roadmap to start with. Okay. So I'm not going to read all these to you, but obviously they make a lot of sense, and they're taking a look at the data and helping you decide what's, looking at, is there a trend going on here? Okay. Or are there, just like we were looking at the payroll issues with that company and idea, right? Right away you can pick up where there's potential issues. Okay. Now the human factor, they just list a bunch of stuff. People sell hope, make excuses as long as you can, take responsibility, shift blame, rationalize your actions. Can't rationalize your actions, attack the messenger, do favors, publicize good deeds. Anyway, they're just talking about all different types of things. Selective memory, other oath. I cannot recall. How many times have we heard that? I cannot recall. Anyway, and I guess sometimes that could be true too, but keeps friends close, enemies closer. Oh, I think that's that Chinese philosopher. I think he was a Chinese philosopher. Lao Tzu, something Zhu. Well, don't remember exactly, but I think that was one of his things. Anyway, so you can see here, bottom line is it's human frailties. Okay? So, first thing they say, well, what you need to do, establish clear and reasonable anti-fraud standards. One of the professors mentioned this: if you set your standards too high, you may inadvertently be giving an employee two choices in mind, to fail or to lie. I'm not 100% sure what they mean by that, but I can tell you that at times, if people make things too difficult, they just cause more trouble. Okay? And they also, human failings lead trusted people to violate trust. No one factor alone will deter fraud. Sometimes, it's just simply a matter of greed. Wages in kind, that right now, you probably heard this quiet quitting. It's a new thing these days. This is where you're just not going all out. You're just doing the bare minimum. Just, you're there, but you're not there. Okay? So people, again, everything happens with people, and you can't do anything without them. So it's a big problem. Prevention, fraud deterrence, remove the root of the problem, modify behavior. So, here they mention easier to deter than run-of-the-mill criminals. Fraud offenders are very deliberate, and it says their conduct can be more easily modified. I don't know. I think once you've found somebody, and I'm not sure what they mean here exactly, but I think that once you know somebody is committing fraud in your business, you have no choice but to let them go. Now, maybe in the hiring process, you can allow them to know, but I don't know that I would try to rehabilitate a fraudster and have them in my business. I just don't think I would do that. Impact of controls. By the way, this is funny. All the things I just told you. Accountants and auditors expect controls to do too much. No, it's not the control itself. It's the use of it. I disagree with this. I disagree. So somebody has to monitor it. Simply just having it. Some controls are only indirected. Controls are only part of the answer. I would say yes. Here they're talking about deterrence. I'm thinking more about catching it, but only part of the answer. I would say yes, but a large part. So I understand what they mean, but I don't think it is wise to talk down the importance of controls. Seems to me that's what they're doing here, but I get the first part, but that's what I feel personally. Employees who perceive they can get caught are less likely to do it. They say discuss it in an open forum. By the way, if not handled correctly, it can cause more problems than it solves. I would agree. I've seen that happen. I've seen false accusations and things like this. I've been involved in them myself, and I can tell you that you have to be really careful when you do that. Okay, so they want to talk about how to make people understand or get that perception, education, fraud policies, make sure people know. Here they mention a higher stance, meaning that, this is how it's kind of like the tone at the top. Analytical review, surprise audits, and adequate programs. So I think these are all really good. And again, the bottom line is, like I said, controls. And using the controls and analyzing the data you get from controls. Just having the controls themselves is not enough. Anyway, folks, that's it for Chapter 6. Back with Chapter 7 in just a little bit.